it live.
Dodgy listings on PCAR Market. Are you surprised? You know we're not. All right, tonight we've got new listings to make predictions on. We're going to go over our predictions from the last episode. Do you think you're better than this panel of experts at guessing what the hammer price will be on cars and listings on Bring a Trailer? Well, let's find out. This is Bid Nerds. Let's do this thing. The bidding starts now. Bid Nerds is your YouTube car game show. Maybe one of these days I'll actually practice an opening for this show and we'll actually get people to watch this thing because like all the YouTube, how to make your YouTube channel work, talks about how that first 15 seconds is the most important part. That's going to hook the new viewers. And I know that's why we have no subscribers and no viewers because I always screw it up at the beginning. And really this show is kind of stupid anyway, but we love doing it. And we know you love hanging out with us live here in the Nerd Herd. Thanks for hanging out. My name is John Polnick. This is Bid Nerds, and I am here with my partner, Michael Deeb. He's right over there. He's right next to me, but he's actually 600 miles away in San Francisco, and I'm in Las Vegas. What's up, Michael Deeb?
What's up, JP? Oh, my God, dude. We have all right. When we started doing the show, one of the genius things that you created with the concept of the show is that the auctions will provide you as the producer and us as the talent of the show an endless supply of content. And it's genius. It's one of the great things you get credit for the success of this show 5 years on the trot. What's amazing, JP?
Wait a minute. Success of this show? When is that going to happen?
Yes. Yeah, I see. There's somebody watching us right now that we don't even know who they are. Yeah. One of the things that PCAR Market does not get enough credit for is how year after year, month after month, listing after listing, how they come up with creative new ways to absolutely screw up a listing and hose their sellers and completely fool their buying and bidding audience. They don't get enough credit for that, JP. And I think tonight we can shine a bright light right on them for just such the dubious honor. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. If you are new to this show, what we do is we dig through all the auction listings like Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, and PCAR Market, and we find the most interesting cars. We analyze the listings that we think are the most interesting, and then we make predictions. We always start off every episode by going back to the last episode and reconciling how we did on those predictions, and that's half the fun. You can see if you're better at this than we are. You can play along. If you are watching live right now, this is the best way to watch this show. Get in there in the Nerd Herd, join the chat in the live chat, and introduce yourself. You're going to make great friends over there. All the talent and all the real information is in that chat. All right, before we get started, just want to give a shout out to our good friends at Porsche Henderson and Godden Classic, our sponsors of the show. We love those guys. And Porsche Henderson, brand new 5th gen store right here in Las Vegas. If you need parts or anything, or if you need a classic Porsche or a brand new Porsche, give our friends at Porsche Henderson or Godden Classic a call. Plus, Deeb, I don't know if you noticed, see my wrist? Do you see that? I'm kind of flashing there. Look at that.
Oh, is that a new watch?
That's a new watch. I know. That's the new Aviera watch.
Is that the Aviera Deja Vu edition? Like
this
just like the old?
Yeah, this one apparently. I did the unboxing. You can see that on, I think on our Instagram page. I just did a quick.
Can't believe I sat through that.
I was surprised, but not because I've seen the watch before, right?
I saw the boxing, not the unboxing. I saw the boxing a month ago.
Thanks to Anthony Vera at Our Smiths for sending out our my brand new Aviera custom watch.
So dope. So dope.
It really is. It looks just like the one that he made for Vegas Auto Fest that we were going to give away but didn't, and then I kind of absconded with. We are going to do a Yahtzee contest here. We're setting something up for you guys. Stay tuned. We've got a new kind of like club that you guys can join. It's going to be pretty rad. So we're excited to get that out there. We'll have a Yahtzee contest and someone's going to win the watch. Deeb, are you wearing your Aviera tonight?
Always.
Boom,
I don't
look
take
at
it
that.
off. I
Look at
mean,
that.
yeah. Whoop, I've got a microphone in the way. I got to learn how to work with a camera. But there you go. That's mine. Mine's more like a sub. I always said yours was a bit like a Bell and Ross. But
Yeah.
JP, what other things when you look at that shape? Is Bell and Ross the only thing that comes to mind? I mean,
It really is. I mean,
you
it's
and
an
Anthony-
aviator watch.
Yeah.
It's the square with the round in it. Yeah, I mean, it's just
So badass.
the really cool thing is that the font
So
and
distinctive.
the colors, looks like a mid '90s Ferrari, like a 348 gauge or something like that. So, anyways, all right, let's get to the show. Let's get to the predictions we made in the last episode, and let's see if everyone can play along. What was the first car we had on the list last week, Michael D?
All right, JP, our Halo car from last week was we don't do a lot of late model Porsches, but this 2023 Porsche 911 Carrera GTS coupe with a 7-speed manual caught your eye, and not because of the gentian blue, but the way this car is equipped, JP, is pretty badass. Like if you or I were given a blank check, or the new car manager at Porsche had, taken a long lunch and we needed to get some orders in, we would order a car very similar to this, center lock wheels, ceramic brakes, sport seats, sport exhaust, sport suspension, PDCC, and a 7-speed manual, which is becoming rarer and rarer on new Porsche 911 models. This car seems pretty dope. The car, JP, is listed on Bring a Trailer at a Campbell Hall, New York, showing just 6,000 miles from new. A 2023. We're in 2025. If you were to go to your dealer today and order a car, it might not arrive until the 26 model. So it's hard to imagine this car might actually be 3 dog years old in some weird universe. But seriously low miles. It looks like a seasonal car. Very nice condition. I jibber-jabbed about how I didn't like it wasn't so much, JP, the color of the interior. It was that the entire interior was monochromatic. I think we kept getting caught up. I kept calling it tan and you kept calling it cognac or baseball glove. I'm with you. The seats are sick, but if the doors of the dash were black, you'd have me. I don't like one color all through the interior unless it's black. So that's where I thought that the car might be polarizing. And as such, I was the pessimist of the group, a group that included Dustin Dobkiss, who was joining us as third nerd from Vegas Auto Gallery Vegas Auto Gallery. Am I saying that right, JP?
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
So anyways, Dustin was in studio. It was great to have him with us, and he knows exotic cars and German cars really well. John, according to classics.com, GTSs in the secondary market only bring 162,900, but I think that number includes both PDKs and manuals. And we all know that manuals bring a premium. I thought because of the monochromatic and weird colorway of the car that the premium would only be like another $7,000. So my bid was the most bearish of the group. So I was at $169,920. John, you took the over at $175,992. I see what you did there. And Dustin Dobkiss, who joined us as third nerd, his bid, he parked it right underneath you, JP, 175 even, $175,000 for him. And he was the closest. He only beat me by a couple of bucks in essence, but our hammer was $173,500 where the car sold on 35 bids. So there you go, JP. The premium was $10,000 for the manual and low miles. That's a fair number. If you go, so this is a 992.1, right? And if you go and you order a 992.2 right now, the cars have jumped in value, in price. And I don't think you could recreate this car for, it would be much closer to $200,000. So, and then you'd have to wait for the car to be built. You wouldn't get it for a few months. So the idea that you could save a little bit money off sticker and have this car today and it's barely broken in, I think this is a fair retail number for the car. I think the seller did well. I think the buyer did well. I think the platform did well. And damn it, Dustin did well. He won his first try on the show this year. So what do you think, JP? Anything to unbox from that result?
Yeah, just that a lot of people are still asking me, they're going, why, we see prices going down on most modern cars these days, and people are going, why are these 911s still bringing so much money? And it's because Porsche is doing what they always do when things get a little tighter in the market. They just make fewer cars. And when you make fewer cars, you can maintain these gross prices, these high prices. Especially with a 3-pedal car like this is going to be something that you will never have. This is never going to be distressed inventory for anyone who has it at a dealership, and any person who winds up buying this car. They're always going to be able to, really hold their value for the longest amount of time having that third pedal down there. If this car is a PDK car, it would languish. I mean, I think the big question, Deeb, is if this car only had 2 pedals, how much less do you think it would have brought?
Well, I think it goes back down to the average price. So I think you're looking at a 10 grand premium, which, let's face it, is like 6% or something over the PDK price. I don't know that it would languish. I think it might take a little longer to sell. I think it's more likely to be a regional car than a national buyer. Like if Godden had this car, it's entirely possible somebody would have seen the listing and called them from way out of their market. I think it might have taken, maybe an extra 30 days to sell. But I think the thing is not so much the time, but just maybe a little bit less money for the PDK. Anyway,
I mean,
whatever.
Little bit less or a lot less. I don't know, man.
6%? You think it's a big deal?
It's more than that. I don't think it gets the average. I think that the 3-pedal cars are bringing the average up, not the other way around. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think the third pedal really brings the big premium and brings that average up significantly, and all the other PDK cars are sitting for much less? Would you pay more than $150 for a PDK version of this? I mean, that's all it's going to be worth very quickly. The PDK one is going to depreciate much faster, that's for sure. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. And did you do a better job at picking the number than we did? Let us know what your number was. Don't cheat. All right. This listing that we just talked about really wasn't a shady listing. We opened up the show with, dodgy platforms and stuff like that. We are going to get to that. We're just talking about the cars that we covered on BAT. So let's keep doing that. What was the next car on the list, Steve?
All right, JP. So I picked a car that, like, from my young adulthood, this was the car I wished I made enough money to be able to go down to the Mercedes dealership and buy the 1999 Mercedes-Benz C43 AMG. I just thought this was the coolest thing to come out. I was aware of the C36, but I didn't really think about it. The C43, I made a trip to the dealer to go look at it, and I was like, oh my God, I was so into it. In the end, JP, it wasn't even the price, although the price was a little bit, steep for what I was earning in those days. It was me and my bad driving record and my San Francisco address couldn't afford the insurance. My insurance agent was fall on the floor laughing, and the phone hit the ground. He picked himself up and collected himself, and I'm still sitting there, and he's like, "Oh, were you serious?" And I was like, never mind. So there we go. C43, JP. Listen, we see these cars, but we don't notice them all the time on the auction listings. They all have 160,000 miles. They're beat to within an inch of their life, and it's really a shame. This particular car that was on Bring a Trailer out of Highland Park, Illinois, was showing 55,000 miles on the odometer. And JP, if you took a really close look at these images, you'd be forgiven to thinking there was only 15,000 miles on the car. It is sweet how clean and how well this car presented. So I was totally impressed with it. And I wondered, could these $6,000 to $16,000 C43s bring any collector money? Because, E36 M3s can bring, $40,000 and $60,000, and don't even talk about lightweights. They're $250,000 today. So I wondered, John, and it's so funny too, because Dustin, who was our third nerd on the show and joined you in studio, worked for Mercedes-Benz and talked about preparing these cars for the front line, what they call a PDI inspection, pre-delivery inspection. So Dustin knows these cars intimately. He spoke very highly of them, and I thought that was great. So everybody liked the car, but nobody thought it was going to bring any real money. All right, JP, jumping into the numbers, 1999 C43 AMG on average on classic.com, $16,000. I was high man on campus. I thought this one, being so clean and so rare to come to market this clean, had a chance to sell with a number that started with a 3. So my bid was $30,043. JP, you took the under at just $26,043. And Dustin Daukis from Vegas Auto Gallery, his bid split the difference, really close to mine, $29,500. JP, you nailed this one. The car hammered for just $25,500 where it sold on 22 bids. This auction had a reserve. It sold at that number. Obviously, that was realistic between BAT and the seller. There you go. It was under all of us, but that I was still venture a guess to say that's probably one of the highest results we've seen on the live auction space over the last handful of years. I pray, JP, that this will bring some collectible C43s and C36s and maybe even a C55 or two, some of these early AMG efforts to market so that we can see these cars and enjoy them again. I think at 25 grand, you get a lot of performance, maybe not a ton of eyeball, because as you say, JP, a car like this, you could be forgiven for just thinking it's a boring ass $5,000 C class, like a 230 or whatever those regular commuter cars were. You might not notice how special it is, but like Dustin talked about, it's a really interesting AMG effort from the motor. I think there's a lot of performance and a really fun, affordable way to get into vintage cars to a degree. So I'm happy for everyone involved. It's a car I would have happily parked in my garage, but I wasn't a buyer this time. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember if I mentioned in the last episode, but these are never going to get there. They're great cars, and I'm with you, Deeb. This one is absolutely a fantastic example of one of these, but without three pedals, these cars are always they're just going to be a neat old classic car that is one that you could add to a collection if you already have a bunch of other cool stuff. The one thing, and it really is a shame that they didn't have a third pedal in these, because they really are great cars. And I don't know, I'm looking at, check out that dashboard, right? I mean, like you said, Deeb, it's super clean, but look at the gauges, look at the analog, everything that, it's just real buttons, real knobs. You look at this and you just know that everything has a point, right? Everything has a reason for being there. And if you push one of those buttons, it's going to do something. Contrast that with this digital readout crap that they've got. This is the 992 that we just looked at. You have one real gauge in the middle and everything else is just like, a reshaped iPad smashed under your dashboard. Yeah. I think I'm just so over this crap.
VR. It's like VR.
Yeah. I mean, I not to go back to the 992, and yeah, I love that the 992 has three pedals and everything like that, but I would rather spend 25 grand on a C43 that only has two pedals than $180,000 for a GTS 911 with three. I mean, I just really would. Yeah. The new stuff does nothing for me. It's great, it's neat, but who cares? It may as well be a Hyundai driving down the road. They just don't even get my attention anymore. All right, what do you guys think? Am I going overblown about that 992? Do you guys like that C43? Let us know in the comments. And what do you think of that number? 25 grand? Should it brought more? Is there an upside to these? Are they going to keep going up? What's the next car on the list, Steve? We still did more predictions.
Yeah, we have two more cars to quickly reconcile. So let's circle back to the 1997 TVR Cerbera 4.2. Now, this is a right-hand drive car that was on Bring a Trailer out of Redondo Beach, California. Our car is showing 53,000 miles. It has a 5-speed manual transmission and an in-house designed and built 4.2-liter V8 that JP puts out some eye-opening eye-opening horsepower. We're talking 360 horse and 320 pound-foot of torque. I mean, that's pretty close to what you'd get out of a 996 GT3. However, JP, this car is British and this car is right-hand drive. And while this car looked good in the photos, you astutely pointed out that the close-ups of the front end of this car show an unusual amount of chips and dings and scratches. This car, unfortunately, has a bad patina. And that interior, let's face it, the beige and the bright red carpets, it's starting to look like a Vietnamese nail salon in there. I don't know. John, interesting car, maybe not an interesting auction as I had hoped it would be. According to our friends at classic.com, the average selling price for the TVR Cerbera, and these are international numbers, but we don't record in North America too many of these transactions. But according to classic.com, the average selling price for one of these is about $40,000. John, I thought our car would come close to that number, but not really meet it. My number was $38,000. And then you and Dustin were really close. JP, your bid was $33,000. Dustin Daupkis was at $33,500. Our car surprised all of us, JP. Did it run no reserve? Let me take a look at this. No, it ran with a reserve. It did pretty good. The Hammer was $43,000 where it sold on 20 bids. I'd say the seller was the winner here. Yeah. The guy who paid 43 for this car, I'm sorry, buddy. You should have either watched the show and listened to John or opened up those photos on your computer and taken a closer look. I don't think he's going to be happy with the car when it rolls off the truck at that number, especially if they have to spend, another $2,000 or $3,000 to ship it to wherever he lives outside of the area of Redondo Beach. So JP, 43 for a right-hand drive car that needs a front-end repaint. Hosed?
Yeah, I mean, look, in the UK right now, if you make a tweet that that causes someone anxiety or insults them or makes them feel bad, they'll come to your house and arrest you. Looking at the nose of this car, this British car, this is what the British UK police should be going around and arresting people for. Why would you list this car with a nose that's that beat up? The rest of the car is pretty nice. This is almost one of those things where it would make sense that maybe even, invest some money in a quick respray in the nose of this thing. It probably would have brought a lot more money. But then again, if it brought a little over the average, I guess maybe it's not worth the trouble. What would you guys have done if you owned this TVR? Would you have gone through the trouble of giving the nose a respray so that it wasn't so offensive? Or would you have just tried to sell it as it was and like this particular seller did and did a pretty good job? Let us know what you guys think, and let's get to the next car. D, what do we got?
All right, JP, one more car to circle back to, and that is the Midnight Blue 1994 Porsche 964 Carrera RS America. This car is on PCAR Market. It's showing 56,000 miles from new. The big news here, JP, this car is a 1994, of which they only made like 80 of these. And the 94s are distinctive because they came equipped from the factory with the back seat. Our car is a domestic U.S. car that had been shipped off to Germany. So the car is listed on PCAR Market out of Cologne, Germany, but listed for sale. And while sometimes it's easy to bring cars in on the 25-year exemption, if you have somebody that helps you with the importation of the duties and fill out all the right paperwork, NBD, and this car would qualify for that. But this car originated as a domestic car, so there's no problem. This car will come back in super easy. So I don't fault the guy for sort of advertising the car by running on a PCAR Market because nobody thought he was going to sell this thing here. JP, I had made calls on this car. The guy was super nice. The car looked pretty nice. I would have loved to get it. If it was on a domestic title, I would have tried to get off my wallet and buy this thing, even though it's comes at a price. JP, we didn't think this car stood a chance at actually selling at Hammer. According to friends at Classic.com, a 1994 RS America typically sell for $160,600. I thought our car would fall short of that number at Hammer at just $120,964. You came in like 20 grand under me at just $100,964. And Dustin Dowkis bid just above you, JP. His was $103,000. And Dustin did really well on this one as well. Our car hammered for $107,555. The car remains, that was a failure to sale, of course. I don't even think I need to say that. The car remains available in the chum bucket, what PCAR Market calls the deal tank. It's in the classifieds listed for sale at an asking price or a buy it now price of $185,000. JP, I think 185 or thereabouts, like let's call it 178 or 180. I think that retail number makes sense for that car if it's sitting in the lower 48 on a domestic title. I don't think that number is realistic out of Germany, where you got to first of all, you're going to wait a couple of months to get your car, 3 or 4 months for the car to get here. You're going to pay taxes and duties and all this nonsense to get it over here. I don't think that number makes sense. I think, 145 to 160 makes a lot more sense for where it sits. So if you're interested, to me, that's where I think you would open up the bidding, is to try and get into that range, because you got to budget for the amount of money it's going to take to get it home and get it titled wherever you live. But a really good car. I think it's a special car. The blue is rare. The 94 is rare. The mileage and the odometer are rare. And it is a U.S. car. So there you go. There you have it. No surprises, JP. Anything to glean from that result or that listing?
I mean, I think the big problem is trust, right? It's like, okay, it's one thing buying a car if you're in LA and buying one from New York or something like that. There's something about trusting someone in America to go put eyes on it, or maybe you're buying from a dealer, you can verify that everything is kosher. But buying a car that's across the ocean in another country, you're to send $180,000 across the ocean and then hope, and you've got 3 months of anxiety until that car actually shows up. And the whole transaction originated from a platform like PCAR Market. If you're someone who's watched this show, you know that's going to give you some anxiety. Watch some of our episodes talking about PCAR Market, and wait till after the commercial break when we talk about one of the listings that we're going to make a prediction on, and the debacle with PCAR Market, and you'll be even less confident in purchasing a car through that platform. But that's just our opinion. Before we get to that, go ahead, Deeb. You're dying to get something in there.
Just so good to hear you frame that like you're trusting this money for such a long time, and all from a transaction that originated on PCAR. To have you frame it like that was really funny. That's was good.
Brutal.
Good take, my friend.
I want to say hello to Karen Moore in the chat. She says she's so happy to have caught this chat. I'm looking to buy an older 911. She asked one of my favorite questions. Can you guess what she asked? She asked, why are cabrios so much cheaper?
Because you and JP are the only ones that want one. That's why.
Cabriophobes. That's why, Karen. It's because cabriophobes. It's 2025, and there are still people who just haven't gotten it out of their head that, that's a whole other conversation. But we do encourage you to get the car that you want. And good news, if you like cabrios, which I do, they are much less expensive than their coupe and Targa counterparts. So, they're oftentimes half price. So take advantage of other people's stupidity, Karen, and get a great car that costs you half as much as the stuck-up snooty guy in his coupe. My theory, I'll do it real quick. There's cat people and there's dog people. It's cat people are coupe people. Coupe people hate cabs, but cab people like coupes as well. Cats are more likely to stuff themselves in a little teeny space and look out the world because they're scared of everything. Whereas dogs, they love to stick their head out the window and just be around and have a good time. That's why if you are a dog person, you're probably a cabrio person. Anyways, there it is. That's my theory. I'm sticking to it. Let us know what you guys think. We have predictions, and we have a story to tell you guys about PCAR Market. It's going to make you laugh. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden. This guy. Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about, and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden. Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if bid nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair. All right, we are back, and we are looking at our fine Swiss watches made by A. Vieira from Our Smiths. So if you guys want one of those, reach out to our friends at Our Smiths. They might be able to get you hooked up. All right, let's move on. Okay, I am excited about the cars that we're going to make some predictions on tonight. Dodgy, sketchy platforms. I mean, they're the poster child for dodgy, sketchy auction platforms can be none other than PCAR Market, like we said before the break. And this first car, let's get right to it, Deeb. What's this first car, and what's the story on this? Because, a lot of times with these cars, it's like there's stories. This one's got stories.
And I haven't been able to really rehearse this in my head, so I'm just going to introduce it because first and foremost, this car was on my list. You all may remember a couple of weeks ago, we had Sarah Lassick on the show from 000 magazine. Sarah's job with 000 is like, and I'm totally paraphrasing here, please don't forgive me, Sarah, but she does marketing and events and things of that nature, like 000's outreach. A lot of it goes through Sarah. She's in Southern California, and one of the big projects that she's heading up is not only this partnership where you could go down to a Porsche dealership and order a 000 magazine commission of a special model of the 992 Porsche 911 Turbo S, but Porsche has given 000 an extra car that they're using for a sweepstakes to auction off. So when Sarah came on the show, she talked about her position with 000. She talked about the commission that you can go order this sort of Pikes Peak lightweight edition, but she also talked about the sweepstakes, which doesn't end until the end of this month. So I'm going through cars trying to find something for this week's show, and I find out on PCAR Market right now, there is a 2024 Porsche 992 Turbo S Coupe, a 000 commission edition of the car, showing 67 miles from new, listed out of Manhattan, Illinois, and on their site. What was interesting was this car was a Canadian origin car. Somebody brought it down to Illinois. It has less than 100 miles on it, and they decided to take photographs of this car in their driveway, JP, and you may notice from the photos, they didn't clean the car. It looks like this car was on a road trip. The carpets are dirty, the seats are dirty, and they just photographed it with their cell phone, sent the photos off to PCAR Market, and asked for it to go be listed. What I didn't notice when I just put it on our list for a show that we would cover, and as you know, we don't do any homework. We just kind of wing it live while we're on the show. Sarah calls me a couple days later, and she says, hey, do you know anybody at PCAR Market? They are claiming that this 992 Turbo S Coupe 000 commission is, in fact, the sweepstakes car. And I, of course, like my hat blew off. I called JP. Some of you have been watching the show for a long time. Remember, JP reached out to Jim Barry at PCAR Market, and we had him as a guest host on the show several years ago. And Jim was a good sport and sent John a box with PCAR Market hats and T-shirts that we gave away because we weren't going to wear them. But Jim was on the show, so JP I knew had his number. We sent it off to Sarah. She called him. Jim answered the phone and said, I don't work for PCAR Market. And Sarah felt like she had gotten the wrong number and hung up. 000 reached out to their shipping partner, the person who is their liaison with regards to transport, saying, hey, we understand you guys have done a lot of work for PCAR Market. Who do you know down there? They gave her the number of the auction chief, and they gave her the number of the owner. She, and I say number, but like email address. So she emailed the auction person. That email came back that it was out of commission. So then she emailed the guy who's allegedly the owner of PCAR Market. He has not responded. But JP, as I went live tonight to get onto the show, I looked down, and the last comment is a bid by Sapor Tuli or whatever. It's $195,000. The comment right before that shows that it was 2 days ago says that from the PCAR Market moderator, this listing has been updated to reflect that this is not the sweepstakes vehicle. JP, will you pull up the text message that Sarah sent us in preparation for the show? If you read this with me, folks, and I think you're going to get a big kick out of it. I've got to pull it up on my own damn phone here. Okay, it says this, and again, this is in the body of the listing, meaning PCAR Market wrote it, not the seller. Okay, I want to clarify that. It says, and I quote, won by its original owner through the 000 commission giveaway and imported from Canada by the seller. That is a false claim. And so what John and I do time and time again is that we try to arm our viewers with best practices and where to watch out for pitfalls. And the thing that comes up for 4 and 5 years running that JP tells everybody is that time and time again, PCAR Market finds ways to fail. They didn't need to add that. It's not true. And in essence, they pissed off somebody who could have been, in some far-reaching galaxy of fantasy, a partner to them. Some synergy could have happened between a listing company called PCAR Market and a magazine that covers strictly Porsches. But instead, they have blown 000 out of the water by making this false claim. Sarah Lassick was looking for them. They found out, shrunk. They removed the comment and fixed it, but they never responded to her, which is such, JP, Jeez. Can I just say it on the air? Yeah. Chicken shit, right? Like, you won't call the girl back and say, hey, sorry we did that. We got a little carried away. Or you could lie and say we thought it was or whatever. But instead, they just pretend like they didn't get the thing, and then they make a little quiet, like we removed it. It's not the sweepstakes vehicle. I love that they found out that Sarah Lassick was going to have to choke a bitch, and they just ran. But, good for you, Sarah. Sarah, for jumping in. John and I tried to help, but it's hilarious that two people like turned away at the door and doubting Thomas. I don't know who that is. Just crazy stuff, man. Amazing. But anyway,
yeah.
Now back to the car, John. Really quickly, one of the other things that Sarah said as we corresponded was, and she's like, "And who the F put those wheels on that car?" She was so mad about the. She was so mad about the wheels. Who are the wheels? The wheels of that company. God dang it, it's gonna bother me. But anyways, I'll look it up while you talk. They're expensive wheels. I do know that. But she laughed at that somebody changed the wheels. The car does have low miles. It'll be interesting to see what the asking price is once this car fails to sell in the natural auction. It is super low miles, but they did a terrible job preparing this car for the listing. The auction has been updated. The car closes tomorrow. Do you think that winds up being a strike against them? I don't know. Maybe not.
What? I am so confused right now. Which is not, surprising. It's anything that originates from PCAR Market is always going to be a mess. I mean, that we just know that. But can you tell me, what is this car actually? Okay, it wasn't the sweepstakes car or whatever. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
So we know what it's not, because Sarah Lassick from 000 has been very clear about that. But this car does have 000 stuff all over it. So what the hell is this? Yeah. What is this car?
If you were smart and you love 000 magazine, you could have run down to the forgive me, JP. You could have run down to your Porsche dealership and ordered a Porsche 992 Turbo S and paid a small premium to get a 000 commission car, which means it would have been a lightweight package with some special cosmetic overview. The door sills say 000 on them. It has the Pikes Peak time that the 000 Turbo S set a production car record running up Pikes Peak like a year ago. And so that time is embossed in the leather. You get the off-color mirror caps. So however many colors this come in.
It has all these
cosmetic makeover.
It's not, I guess that's not really the question. I mean, it's like, so who made it? Did Porsche make this?
Porsche sells that
and how
car,
many did they make?
It depends on how many were ordered. They might still be making them. There wasn't a finite number. They're not numbered. It was like if 20 people ordered them, they would have made 20 cars. If 30 people, 30 cars. So, but I don't know if you can go down and order another one today, because I imagine they're getting ready to make 992.2s. But 000 has one that they've been using for marketing that they're going to auction off, and that is the giveaway car. And they claimed that this car was the giveaway car, and it's not. The giveaway car is white.
Yeah, your friends at Club Wheelhouse are confirming that the real car is in their garage. Text Dave a picture, and we'll put it up on the screen here.
He just did. I'm going to send it to you right now.
Okay, we'll see if we can get that up.
Right now. Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, and how much of a premium was that? Like, how much was the option for this thing? Above whatever one was, is a $5,000.
I'm not 100% sure.
No,
I think it's close to 20 grand. But please forgive me, JP, that I don't know exactly what that number is.
And did it come with different wheels? And did they replace the 000 wheels with these Forgiato things or whatever the hell they are?
No, it came with when you get the lightweight package, it comes with those wheels. And those wheels are included with this listing. So they put these aftermarket wheels on the car, but the stock lightweight wheels are included in the auction.
Okay. Gosh, everything's just so darn weird about this particular situation. I don't know. I mean, it's hard enough to bid on a car. It's hard enough to accurately assess the value of all these random cars that we pick off of all these auction sites. But when you have all this conflicting information, I mean, God, PCAR Market, just stop. Stop, guys. What is wrong with you? All right, all this nonsense aside, what do we think now that it's been cleared up, at least on the auction platform? Do we think there's any chance that this car is going to hit a reserve that the owner probably wants for it? And what do we think it's going to get to? What's going on?
Yeah, and JP, I texted you that photo so we can show everybody. Yeah, so, all right, JP, according to our friends at Classic.com, A Turbo S, a 992 Turbo S in the secondary market still brings $239,800. JP, I think that this car, the car that you're looking at, the MSRP on this is closer to like $325,000. I think the car will. It's right now. It's at $195,000, and that comes to us by way of two bids, and it closes tomorrow. It closes in like 17 hours. JP,
this car that I'm showing, is not the car. This is the real. This is the car they said it was, but isn't at your friends at Wheelhouse. Sorry.
Yeah, the car. the irony is that the 000 sweepstake car is under lock and key inside of Club Wheelhouse, and it's Grand Prix white. Look how gorgeous that thing is. And that car, that contest is still available. You can go to 000 right now, buy a hat, buy a subscription, buy a back issue, and you're automatically entered in the contest to win that car right there. The car that is on PCAR Market is silver. It's already, the warranty started in December. It's a Canadian origin car, which I think as a US buyer, you'd want to know that. I think our car, JP, will hammer for $228,000 and wind up in the chum bucket, JP, for like $350,000 plus with two sets of wheels. So John, 228 to you. MSRP was $325. The 000 Boxster Spiders they did a couple of years ago all bring a big premium because of their logos and stuff. What do you think is going to be the hammer on this one, and what do you think it's going to wind up in the chum bucket for?
Yeah, you said what was your number? 220 what?
228 at hammer, 350 in the chum.
I'll just go a couple of bucks above you. I'll go 230 at hammer. I think it'll get a little bit of money more. Some people will be paying attention to this. Everyone's just waiting around to see what it's going to be in the chum bucket for. And yeah, the chum bucket, I don't know. I mean, these are 300 plus new, aren't they? Yeah. So exactly. I think that this person probably thinks it's worth more than new. I think he's that person. It would be my guess. And that let us know what you guys think, and let's move on. That is just avoid PCAR Market, guys. That's our advice. It's our opinion. PCAR Market is a great place to lurk and look around and see what kind of nonsense they're trying to pull at any given time. But they are just such a sketchball platform, and we've just seen. Just go back and look at any of the episodes that say PCAR Market in the thumbnail, and you will see some serious clown shows. And be advised, if you ever do call them, that they are recording you. They record all their phone calls, and they will use it against you if for some reason they feel like they've been wronged. They will publish that phone call and ridicule you. And they've done it, and we've got proof. You can watch the episodes. I don't know what episode it was of ours, but look for the one that's got the owner with the clown nose. All right, let's move on. I'm done with PCAR Market. What's next?
All right, JP, our good friend in Las Vegas, Peter George, sent us. And everybody's going to freak out because Peter sent us all these great JDM cars. Peter picked out this English marvel. John, it is check it out. It's a Jaguar E-Type that has been rebuilt to be one of their Halo cars from the 60s, a lightweight recreation. Now, this car was done, John, at a shop in England. It's called Valley Motorsport of Market, Drayton, England. And in preparation for Jag E-Type's 50th anniversary celebration at Silverstone, they basically fabricated all the aluminum bodywork to make it look like one of the rare factory lightweights. JP, it's the same way people take narrow body long hoods and they try to make RS Carreras out of the cars. You know what I'm saying? So this is the E-Type that everybody who has an E-Type wish their E-Type looked like this and performed like this. So it's got a replacement 3.8 liter inline six with triple Weber carburetors and a 4-speed manual. It is right-hand drive, but all the aluminum fabrication and, of course, the motor and the racing exhaust and it's probably got disc brakes instead of drums and all that sort of stuff. It winds up just being sort of this badass car. If you're into vintage racing, if you don't mind driving on the right-hand drive, if the E-Type was the sort of poster child of your youth, the car that you thought was like unlike anything else you've ever seen, which is very easy to be, that this is such a striking car. This one is as badass as I've seen. Most of the lightweight recreations that I've seen to look like the factory cars are always silver. So this thing in black with the silver wheels that are knockoffs, disc wheels instead of wires, and the leather straps to hold down the hoods, the plexiglass windows, and the white meatballs. JP, this car's got some eyeball. Now, the car is an alumnus. It had run in the spring of last year on Bring a Trailer, and a couple interesting things. One, the two guys that work at Heyman Limited out of St. Louis, Missouri, filmed themselves driving the car. And John, I don't know the guys, and it's like you never want to bash people you don't know, but the production value of the film that they produced to do like a driving video and to narrate and to be in the car did not do the car justice. It was like cell phone quality, poor production. It didn't do the car any justice. Still, though, as a premium listing, the car was bid to $175,000, which is an extraordinary number for a knockoff E-Type, and yet it failed to sell at that number. Reserve not met on 26 bids. The car comes back to market, this time out of North Salem, New York, with a very reputable seller, JP 1600 Veloce. Of course, they have this, those guys at 1600 have this incredible photo booth. They take excellent photography of the cars. And somebody who works for the company took this car on a country road in the backwoods of Salem, North Salem, New York. They mic'd the exhaust and put a beautiful fixed camera inside the car. John, the driving video for the listing today is excellent. And if you watch it, it makes you want to be in that car, driving it on your favorite country road. He even makes it look easy for an American to drive a right-hand drive, which it's not. It's instant dyslexia. I've tried it. It's not easy. It takes like effort. So it's a wonderful driving video. However, with 2 days to go, the current bid is just 40 grand. And I wonder if the 175 is this car's own worst comp, because it's its own competition. It's bidding against itself from just a year ago. So despite a better presentation, the tea leaves in the moment don't look so good. So JP, very interesting car. I wish I had done more on the equipment to tell you how special this car is. I don't know if our audience really cares about E-Types, but it's a really dope-ass car. You could drive it on the street, but JP, look, it's got a full roll cage. There is a roll bar above your forehead, and you and I both talk about that a lot, that it's really, if you're going to drive the car on the street, you got to remove the cage. That's actually not safe unless you're wearing a helmet. So this car is really destined for racing. So now we're looking for what, a $200,000 buyer for a right-hand drive E-Type in the US just to go vintage racing. That is a narrow needlehead that we're trying to thread this listing through. And I just wonder, even with better assets, if he's got the stuff to do it. So JP, I send it to you. Thank you, Peter George. First of all, I know the E-Type is not your car, but if we were going to pick one out for you, JP, it would be a black one with meatballs. Am I right?
Yeah, this car is so badass looking. Anthony's like, it's sex. Everyone's like, this is car porn. But to me, it's, talking about cabriophobes over earlier. To me, it's like, yeah, it's car porn until you get it. You see that it's right-hand drive, and you're like, ah, crap, it's gay car porn. That's fine if that's what you're into, but I can't get into a right-hand drive car. I can't. It's like, I don't, gosh, I want to love this thing. I understand why they built this creation. It was for a very specific reason. They did want it to be very authentic, so it had to be on the right. But you got to think, it's like, if you're going to go through the trouble of making something this special, make it left-hand drive and open up the market to so many more people. This is a car that would probably bring, 50 to 100% more if it were right-hand drive. And with that said, what do we think it's going to bring, Dave?
Oh, if it were left-hand drive. Yeah,
sorry,
if it were
left-hand drive
and it's titled here, yeah, I think 250 would be easy, because then anybody who likes an E-Type can go get behind the wheel of it. And I think, and I could be wrong on this, again, I don't know exactly what the equipment is, but I think that if you remove that roll cage and put some carpet down, that you could drive this on the road, like, very comfortably. It's not going to have air conditioning or anything by that nature.
No worse than any air-cooled long hood car.
Right. Yeah.
All right, so what's it going to bring?
It's so beautiful. All right, JP, it looks like my camera froze, but as long as you can still hear me, I'm going to read to you all of this, and that is simply that, according to our friends at classic.com, where did I put my numbers? A Jaguar E-Type recreation. So a Jaguar E-Type, like the Series 1 race cars, typically bring $159,800. This car hammered at $175,000 just a year ago. So JP, my bid for this car is going to be, and again, it's not the car or the assets, but I think it's just where we're at, 160,000, and I'm going to go reserve not met at my number. I think it's going to fail by 15 grand to its last mark. So unless the seller has changed his mind on what he wants for the car, I don't think it sells this time around. 160 grand to you, JP. Where you at?
Yeah, I don't even think it gets there. I think it gets, I'm going to go 140. I think it's got time to get someplace, but I think this thing is DOA. It's just that the right-hand drive just is going to kill it. It's such a beautiful car. I'd love to drive it once, but I just don't see people writing the check. There are too many other options when you start getting that 150 and above that you don't need a compromise. There, you could probably find something like this. You could probably find a really fun left-hand drive E-Type somewhere that that you can actually drive around. Deeb, why don't you sign out real quick and then sign back in, and there you go. Sorry about that, folks. Deeb will be right back with us. He's having a little phone problem, but we do have a couple more. Oh, wait, hold on. Here he is. Stand by, everybody. Let's see if we can get our friend Deeb back. Boom. There he is. He's back.
All right. Hey, you can see me. All right.
All right. So we got the numbers down for the E-Type. We've got a little bit of time to do a couple more cars. Chris Carbine, friend of the show. What's this car? Well, this is exciting.
All right, JP. So, Chris Carbine sells a lot of if you like a European, this is a broad generalization, but like a lease return, if you need like a cool sedan or an SUV from BMW or Mercedes or Lexus, Chris Carbine's got you covered and always has a fantastic selection of cars down there. But Chris loves Porsches, and so he always has like a late model Porsche, and he always has a couple of cool old Porsches. I think he's working on an SC, if I'm not mistaken, that's going to come to market. Not too dissimilar to an SC that I sold recently. But in the meantime, JP, how would you like a 997.2S model car? How about a Targa 4S? That's what Chris Carbine is listed right now on Cars and Bids. It's a 2011 Porsche 911 Targa 4S. This is a 997.2. The car has just 43,100 miles from new. It is equipped with a 7-speed PDK. It's one of those like, oh, if it was a manual, I'd start trying to tell my wife how cool this car was. But I'm going to hold off on the PDK. But I think this is still an attractive car because, John, we've talked at nauseum about what the world economy was looking like when the 997.2, especially 911 production, was supposed to be going gangbusters in Germany, and it just wasn't because most of the planet was in a global financial crisis. Therefore, demand had diminished. Thus, production was a fraction of what you would normally expect. So even though they made the cars for 3 years, it feels like we only got like a year and a half worth of production numbers. And when a car like this comes to market in its original condition with low miles and with the S specification, it winds up being something to celebrate. And I think Chris has got a little winner of a car down there. Grand Prix white. The Targas in those days are little more than a panoramic roof. And JP was one of the ones that taught me that this is essentially the cabriolet chassis with a bit of a fixed roof to hold this oversized piece of glass that'll open over your head. It's not a Targa in the way we think about it from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and now in the teens and 20s, where Porsche has sort of brought back that big silver or black roll hoop that has the Targa branding on it, which was genius, by the way, for Porsche to bring that back. But there was an era for the 993 and the 996 and all the way through the 997.2 where the Targa was really just sort of a glorified glass panoramic roof. And that's what we have here. It doesn't mean the car drives any worse. A lot of times when that glass is open, it'd say you feel like a fighter pilot in there, which is kind of cool. It is PDK, so the automatic's going to shift really, really fast. Overall, JP, just a really nice car with an attractive odometer and a very easy on the eyes colorway. So JP, when somebody says 997.2 and you see red brake calipers, how excited do you get?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you need an ED pill or something like that when you see that transmission. It's like, oh gosh, okay, well, Not getting it up for this one either. Beautiful car. You're right about the 997.2s. By 2011, this was the end of the run, and things were definitely recovering in the economy. But Porsche was already gearing up to sell, the 991.1. And in fact, at the same time that this car was probably on the showroom floor, there were probably 991.1s on the same showroom floor, so they still had 997s left over when they were trying to sell the new model. So these really were just DOA, especially ones that only had 2 pedals. This is a great car. Chris, I'm surprised, and maybe we didn't go through all the photos here, but do you have any photos of the rear glass going up? Because the Targa, for all the cabrio phobes, everyone's like, oh, the cabrios, they don't have the rigidity of the coupe and stuff. It's like, shut up. The coupe, the Targa version is actually worse than the cab, right? Because it's a big, heavy thing bolted to a cabrio chassis. So you have flex and all of that stuff. But the one thing that makes the 997 and 996 Targa really, really cool is the fact that the back glass opens like a hatchback. And Chris, you've still got some time on this auction. You got to show that. Unless the 997.2 got rid of that, which I don't believe it did. That's the thing that made this car so darn special, is that you have all the cool aesthetics of the coupe. You've got that big glass roof, and you can also open up that hatch in the back like a hatchback, and you can throw all your stuff in the back. This is like if I could find one of these with 3 pedals, a .2 with 3 pedals, Targa, that would be the greatest car ever, because for me, being, a photographer and a filmmaker, because I would just drive that everywhere. And the biggest problem with driving a 911 regularly, especially when you're going to work and shoots and stuff like that, is trying to get gear out from behind those seats, especially if you have like fixed back seats or something like that. But with making a 911 a hatchback, gold, genius, wonderful. Wish they did it on more. What's this particular car going to bring? I still, as much as I'm giving it shit, there is a body for this. Somebody wants this car because these really are spectacular. And that PDK with Sport Plus, if you're going to do a PDK car, this is definitely one to get. What's it going to bring?
All right, JP. So Sport Chrono Package Plus, as you mentioned, comfort package, infotainment package. It's got leather adjustable seat. It's got ventilated seats and a heated steering wheel and the Porsche communication system. So super nice car, located on Cars and Bids. JP, the car closes on March 25th at 1:25 Pacific time. Check your local listing. Again, Cars and Bids has it out of New Orleans, Louisiana. The car has 43,000 miles from new. JP, according to our friends at Classic.com, the average selling price for a Targa 4S with the PDK is $63,600. John, I have it on good authority that this car is going to do really, 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 really well. I think if it had a manual, it'd break 70 grand easy. But since it's a PDK, I think I'm going to go $69,911, where it will sell at that number. And again, JP, I should have told you, it's at $52,000 on 8 bids, and it closes 2 days from now. So, JP, the bid to you is $69,911. Where are you at?
Yeah, I'm going to park it right under you. I think this car would have done better on BAT, but at least on not PCAR Market, but Cars and Bids, it gets a lot more visibility because it's not competing against a lot of other cars. So it would, I'm going to park it under you at $68,997. And I'm going to disagree with you on another thing, Deep. I think that if this car were a 3-pedal car, with this kind of miles in this colorway, and all these options, I think this car could get darn close to 100 grand. I mean, are like, when you see manual ones, they are so crazy rare. GTSs are going for over 100 grand.
I've got data for you, and this is fresh off the press from Anthony Vieira. Anthony Vieira sent us, and again, if it was Randy Blumen, they were all in the text, I got the wrong guy, but I think it was Anthony Vieira. Right now on PCAR Market, is a 2012 Targa 4S with 25,000 miles. So we're talking 20,000 miles less. It's an off-white. It's like a buttercream, but it's like a cognac interior. It's a Targa 4S, but it's a manual, JP. That car's got 4 days to go, and it's already at $85,500. So, John, You are a prophet. You are absolutely correct. That car looks like it's staring $100,000 in the face. And the difference there is because of the manual transmission. And it does have 20,000 miles less on the odometer. But I think the value here is on Chris Carbine's car, so buy his and don't transact with PCAR Market. You heard it here first.
There you go. Chris did say that he's working on, I guess there's a button or something like that. There's an issue with that, with the back hatch opening up, but he'll get that squared away and hopefully before the auction ends. But that just makes this car magnificent. Yeah. All right, guys, we're gonna end it right there. Thanks for hanging out with us. This has been Bid Nerds. Your nerd out on the most interesting cars. We will be back live Wednesday at 6:30 Pacific time. Thanks for hanging out with us live. If you did so, we love you guys. And shout out to Our Smiths and Porsche Henderson and God and
Triple Zero
and Triple Zero. And yeah, thanks for hanging out, guys. Hey guys, you're probably looking at your